What's up, dude?
How's it going?
It's good, man. How about you?
I'm fantastic. It's wonderful to see you again. And I'm
Man, you too. It's been a while.
so happy to have you on this episode, you know. Uh,
Yeah, dude. Thank you for having me.
of course, man. You've been, after the work you've done on my last record, I was like, pro, great, you know. Oh, like, oh,
Yeah.
wait 1 second. I'm getting feedback from I was just telling you to put the volume
Yeah, you're
down
telling me to put the volume
myself.
down. Let's see. All right, I'm good. Yeah, making sure it's not me.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. So how you been, man? How's it going? How's Nashville doing?
Dude, it's good. It's a little quieter right now because everybody's actually maybe a little louder. Everybody's at home. Nobody's out playing shows and touring around. So it's like this kind of mass. All the people I know who are in the touring world are kind of like, well, what do we do? I don't know what to do with my time because everybody's used to being gone 200 days a year. I saw some guy, I don't remember who it was, but posted about how peaceful his life has been because he's been at home. He's like, I realize I've just been living in chaos for the past 15 years and didn't even know it. I just gotten used to it. And so people are just kind of chilling. It's very interesting.
That's awesome. So you've been working on sessions as well, I'm sure at home as usual. And
Yeah. Yeah. So my studio is just here in my basement. I'm in the control room right now. And then I've just got a drum room over, through down the hallway there. And so I've been working the whole time. We were talking before we went live. My life really hasn't changed that much.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
sound like a super introvert, but it's just like I work from home. I do my sessions remotely. Even for people who are down the street, I generally will work remotely just because it's easier. Like I'll have somebody call me and be like, hey, I'm in a session right now. We need this, we need this groove, or we just need some big tom parts or whatever. Can you just like do that and send it? Yeah, I'll have it to you in 30 minutes. No big deal. And then just like punch that into my day and then move back to the sessions that don't have the kind of distinct timeline on them. Most of the ones I do are, I get them done within a few days, but I tell everybody like, yeah, it might take up to a week just depending on how busy I am. And everybody's like, yeah, cool. No big deal.
Under promise, overachieve. I always believe in that
That's
one.
right. A
Good
hundred
one.
percent.
And also keeps you close to the family as well, which is great. Now you
Yeah.
got two wonderful kids, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
yeah, we talked about that time went by pretty quick. I remember when you were doing my record at that time, you just had
Yeah.
Junior,
Yeah.
the fourth.
Yeah.
We call him
He's
the
he's the
fourth.
fourth. Yeah.
He's
Cause I'm
the
the third.
fourth, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Now he's 3 years old, and yeah.
Yeah.
And now you got
Dude.
Theo as well. That's
Yeah. I got
fantastic.
Theo as well. It's been really cool. Like I hope that my boys will think it's cool
Yeah.
that when they were up to about 6 months old, from 0 to 6 months, I had them 2 days a week. Amy had them Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I had them Tuesday, Thursday. So we flip flop work.
Right.
And on the days that I have them, I would still work, but I would just have them sitting like here in the studio on like a tummy time mat or like in a little chair with a chew toy, like whatever, just while I'm making records and they're sitting here in the studio. And I hope that one day they will
Catch
think
on.
that that's cool.
Well, has any of them caught the sticks yet? Has
Oh
Tom
yeah.
caught the sticks?
Yeah. Tom's got a drum pad.
Uh,
He learned
yeah.
the lesson. Don't hit yourself in the side of the head the hard way. Yeah, he's actually like they both are very they like music a lot. You can tell. Theo, even though he's 11 months old, he
Right.
dances all the time. He
Yeah.
hears something, he'll dance, and he claps in rhythm, which is very
Right.
good for his
Yeah.
age. Tom sings all the time, and while he's not great. He's 3. He actually can carry semblance of a tune. He's got good
Oh,
rhythm. He can do
nice.
a buzz roll on the pad, which is
Yeah.
crazy. It's not clean, but he can do it.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Well, that comes to two things. I always believe it's all about time and rhythm. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about time, click, click, click. No, I'm talking about pocket. And that's for
Right.
me, that is music,
Oh
like
yeah.
first and foremost of any strong foundation. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of kids,
Mhm.
can you tell us a bit of your story of how you got into, did you start off as a drummer and go into this, obviously the studio came later probably, or did
Yeah.
you start off as a different musician? Did you learn something? What was your journey from when you were maybe 6 months old, let's call it, or six
Yeah.
years old, or whatever you want to say?
Yeah. I was always interested in music from a very young age. When I don't remember this, but my mom tells me the story often, as moms do.
Yeah.
She said that when I was in preschool, I was like 3 or 4, and they went around the room and said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said I wanted to be a rock star. No idea where that came from at 3, 4 years old, but that's what I said.
Did you
Um,
ever watch a video or something on TV that triggered
I
that? Because
I
something did
must
that to me.
have. Yeah, I don't remember what it would have been. I my earliest memories of music videos were like I can remember seeing the Chili Peppers video for Under the Bridge, but that would have been later because I was born in '85. So I don't know what I saw. So I saw something, but I know that my mom was a drummer when she was in high school. She
Nice.
had a little pink drum kit and had a Beatles cover band, which I think is pretty
Pink
awesome.
drum kit. Does she
Yeah.
still have it?
No.
Oh, that'd be great to have in the
Yeah.
studio, you know?
Yeah. So she was a drummer. I had a couple older cousins who played drums. And so I really wanted to start doing it about 7. And when I
Right.
was 7, I asked if I could have a drum kit. And my parents, thinking they were being clever, said, if you'll take piano lessons for 2 years, we'll get you a drum kit. And so
Isn't
they
that
thought that
weird? That's what
they
they
thought they'd
told
wear
me
me
too.
out.
I hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They thought they'd wear me out. Like, he's going to give up on this. And my
Yeah.
piano teacher was a sweet lady, but she was like older than time and it wasn't fun or cool, you know? So like, yeah, she will beat it out of him. He definitely won't want to do it. Yeah. And so I did my 2 years and I got a drum kit and my mom taught me my first beat on Christmas morning,
Oh,
which was amazing. I still remember exactly where I was. And from there, I just like, I mean, it was like a drug. I could not, all I wanted to do was play the drums from then on.
did
It
you
was
manage
all,
to read the kick pedal when you were that age? Did you like? Did
yeah,
you?
I think I was, just barely getting it with my toe,
Right.
but
Right. Right.
I could make it happen. And I mean, it was a little Pearl export kit with just like a hi-hat and one ride, and they both sounded absolutely terrible.
That's all right.
But I mean, I remember I would come home every day after school and I would play the drums for like an hour. I would play along to like Metallica and
Yes.
like Seven Dust and like all, like I was way in the metal, of course.
Right.
And so I would come home and just play along to records, turn them up as loud as I could and play the drums, which I'm
Right.
sure everybody hated, but I didn't care.
So you were self-taught pretty much, or did you manage to take lessons
I
after?
had,
Because you realize, okay, I got some weaknesses. Let me pick something up from.
yeah,
I mean, I don't have to say official lessons, but like I remember when I was so hungry for knowledge, and I'm a guitar player or musician, I call it.
yeah,
And I remember when I was in Boston in the early '90s, like I bang on a lot of jazz musicians. I was a big metalhead, and I got into this whole jazz thing and all that.
yeah,
And there was like horn players, like pick on horn players, like look, just teach me anything, or bass players and stuff. It's funny. I never took guitar lessons. I just took music lessons, I should say. But
yeah, yeah,
I would annoy the crap out of them, man, just to get a little bit of piece of information. But they liked me at the end because they knew I was just wanted something. Do you know what I
uh-huh,
mean? So it's just perseverance, like knock on the door. I don't care. I just want this.
yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
For
Sorry.
for me, it was I I think my parents thought that I would stick with it longer if I had lessons and was actually learning something, which
Right.
they were totally right. And
Yeah.
so rather than take the route of get some old school teacher, which there aren't nearly as many drum teachers as there are piano teachers, certainly
Right.
not in like small town Georgia. So
Right.
they found a kid, they went to like the high school band director and was like, they were like, who do you have any students who will teach our son drums? And my first drum teacher's name was Joey Cathy, and he was 15 when he gave me my first lesson. His mom had to drop him off.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah.
cool, though.
Yeah. But he like before I even took my first lesson, him showing up at 15 and I was 9 made it cool. This
Right.
15-year-old kid, I don't care if he's getting paid, is spending time with me.
Yeah.
He makes me feel cool. Drums are cool. And so
That's right.
he made it cool. And I think he turned 16 that week. So the next lesson, the next week he drove himself, but
Yeah.
he taught me for like a year or two. I don't remember exactly how long. And then I thought I was hot stuff. So I quit lessons and then I started taking them back again, like right after like he had graduated high school or something like that. It took another year. And I mean, he like opened the world up for me. He made it fun. He made it cool. He liked the same music I like. He would come in and like teach me Silverchair songs and Nirvana songs and
Yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins and like all the really cool grunge 90s rock that I was way into. And then I stopped taking lessons from him and when I went to college, I found a guy who was about 20, 30 minutes away from where I went to school and started taking lessons from him. And he was much more like musically and technically focused than Joey was. Joey was incredibly talented and knowledgeable about that, but he was much more interested in meeting me where I wanted to be, which was just to learn songs. And so I think he recognized that to get this 9-year-old kid to remain interested, we need to do stuff that he's interested in. And so we took that approach.
But you're lucky there as well, you know, in that sense, because he was young and basically he wanted to teach you the energy of the music or energy of drums before the whole theoretical part and all that. And then I suppose you discovered yourself, oh, okay, I need more of this. I just want to give a shout out. Oh, Electrical Chaz is on here. Electrical, this dude has got a great studio out in New York.
Cool.
And then, oh, my wife says hello.
Oh, hello. It's a good wife right there.
Yeah, she's always supportive. She's always
That's right.
Love her to bits. Yeah. She's a fantastic artist as well. Like, you know,
dude, her pictures and paintings are insane. That's one thing that I so wish I had the talent for is visual art. I just I'm sure I could probably cultivate some semblance of it if I had the time or took the time, but like it's one of those things I just want to be good at. You know, I don't want to learn how to draw a line. I just want to do it.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, there's no cutting corners, Tom. You know that.
No. Oh yeah.
I mean, look at it this way. I look at my studio as my big piece of canvas, and music is the paint, just like yourself, you know. So just to make you feel better. If you can't draw a line, you know, it's your problem.
Yeah.
Hey, Brent, what's going on? We got Saeed, we got Brent.
Yo.
And Brent is a guy who's been he's a good friend of mine. He's been watching the show all the time. He's a drummer as well. He's also recording music just like yourself. And
awesome.
And he was looking forward to this episode. So
what's up, Brent?
You're gonna ask a lot of questions. Anyway, we need to finish off where you were talking and I cut you off as usual. But
all good.
So when did you start hitting the scene with being a pro drummer, a session drummer, or whatnot? And from there, what got you into, okay, this is it? Like, what was your first step in the studio? Let's put it that way, maybe. Recording drums for your first time, you know, for a band or whatever.
So we had a band in high school, and like everybody, and we decided we wanted to make a demo. My dad was a businessman, and he knew how to drive us to kind of make some smart moves. He was like, if you want to have shows, put up flyers. If you want people to come, put up flyers so they know. If you want people to come to your shows more, record something so that they will have something to listen to and get excited. I was like, oh, that makes sense. So we'll record some. So we decided to go to this studio up the road called Full Moon Studios in Watkinsville, Georgia. And we did a 3-song demo. It was very like new metal. And I remember being in there the first time, and we went down live in that session and overdub vocals because they went to tape there. Right. And I remember in that room being like, oh, this is cool. This is really fun. And the demo, I've listened back to it in years since. Honestly, for kids who were like 16, is pretty damn good. Yeah. Like we were a tight band. I mean, we rehearsed every day after school, so we should have been. But we were a pretty tight band for high school kids. Right. And then fast forward from that, you know, I did some recording in college with my buddy Eric Dodd. We made a record for him towards the end of college and worked with Zach Brown's bass player. This was before Zach Brown band was huge. They were just kind of big in the Atlanta scene. Right. And so we worked with their bass player, John Hopkins, and getting to watch him work. He was super cool to me and taught me a lot about Pro Tools and editing audio and recording. Being in that room was a lot of fun. Learned a lot about outboard gear there. And then from there, I moved to LA after college, didn't do any recording there to speak of. But then when I came to Nashville, I joined a band, and the producer of that band asked me if I did session work. And I had always wanted to do session work. My favorite drummer in the world is Josh Freese, and was since I was a kid. And when it was such a random person to be my favorite drummer because everybody was picking drummers who were on stage.
All these guys,
yeah, and that wasn't my guy. I wanted to be the guy who could play on anything, and that's what I thought Josh could do. I knew that Josh had played on so many genres and so many records for artists. I was like, I want to be that versatile. I want to be that guy. And so I always looked up to him. And so when John, the producer in Nashville for Throwing Gravity, asked me, do you do session work? I just lied and said, yes. Yep. Totally did.
That's pretty good. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. And because I knew that I could, I just had never had somebody who would call me for it. And so I started doing a lot of work for John, and John gave me a ton of experience early on to play on projects for different artists.
Right.
I'd always gone in with my band or my artist or whatever. And so I learned how to come into the room and instantly be your friend, but also be ready to work. Like you have to switch gears very quickly. I need to be able to walk in and be like, hey, you remember me? I'm Tom.
Yeah.
And then when John says, all right, let's go, I need to be able to switch gears, get behind the kit and deliver. And so that gave me the opportunity to get that muscle together and to learn that like it's a combination of nailing it, but also meeting and managing the expectations of the person you're working for. The producer is definitely the biggest person to manage expectations. That's like 90% of your job as a producer is manage expectations. But it's also your job as a session player to help sort of guide. Like if somebody says, I think that 30-second notes on the double pedal right here would be awesome. And you go, I can do that. And I'm happy to give you a take like that. I think this feels better.
What serves the song best?
Right. And they go, yeah, I think you're right. I think that does feel better. Cool. Now I don't have to play 30-second notes on the kick drum.
You know, you hit a point which we talked about with Simon Short, who's a good friend of mine, lives out in the UK, and he was with a well-known punk band called the Wonk Unit. He's kind of still works with Focusrite. So we were talking about the whole attitude thing within there. It's like we're in the service industry somehow, right? So
totally,
if you get him to feel that, and that's how I picked you, actually, funny enough, because how did I meet you was on Sound Better. That's what it's called, right?
Sound Better.
And there's a bunch of drummers that approached who I put the song out, and you know, there's some like well-known guys as well. But you know, for me, I've always liked, I don't want to say call you an underdog, but I always like underdogs. I don't care about the name. Like, give me someone, give me his heart and soul on this, not his name. I don't give a shit about your name. Give me the music, you know? And anyway, so when you were in the studio, obviously starting out sessioning in, and when you were new at that time, I'm sure there's a lot of lessons learned on how to approach songs. Mm-hmm. That's a very important key, isn't it? Yeah. So when you were nice to the producer or whatnot, what was the prep work? You know, obviously that's all going to be different from client to client. Did you get any charts? Did you manage to listen to the music before? Or were you thrown in the deep end where you're like, there's a song, you got one pass to listen to, the next pass, you're cutting it? You know, what was it like at that time?
Definitely mostly like the last version you mentioned.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I never got into the chart thing. The chart thing is big in Nashville for Music Row for country music, but I never was taught that. I never was in sessions that way. So I just learned to do everything by ear. And I'm a very visual, I have a good visual memory. So what I would do is I would sit behind the board. I would ask John or whatever producer, can I sit in the chair and watch the session play? And so I would look at the screen and I would remember the markers and I could remember the bar counts in my head, looking at the monitor while listening to the song. And then certain breaks, maybe if there's like a 2/4 bar or something weird, I would have to play a couple times through. But usually what would happen, I'd listen to the song all the way through twice, hit a couple key parts once or twice, and then I'd go in and cut it. And I'd do
it. Dude. I can't do it. For me, I got like, if someone gives me something, I would write, let's say, besides chord charts, but I'd write like bar charts. Okay, A section, B section, C section, and so forth. Just to kind of follow through. I'd like play it through once or twice, and then I'd kind of almost memorize it, and then I'll play it naturally instead of like looking, you know, so I can put that feel. But for you to look at a session and look at that's a different mindset. It's not easy, man, to do that. You know,
it served as my chart.
Hard, huh?
I tried to start writing. I went and took a drum lesson with Rich Redmond, who's a very, very successful drummer. He plays for Jason Aldean and does a ton of coaching and mentorship and has this thing called Crash Course where he teaches drummers. Like, he's very involved in the drum community and is a great educator. And I went and took a drum lesson with him about charting. I was like, dude, I don't know anything about this. I need help. because I want to get better at sessions.
Yeah.
And so he taught me, and it was cool. And I tried it, and it just didn't, I guess I just never gave it a chance to catch up to where I was with the other way. And so I just kept doing it my way. And I still do it my way. If you sent me a song right now, I would pull it into a session. I'd play it through. I'd hit my markers in Logic, and I would outline them. And then I'd probably listen to it one more time just to make sure I had it. And then I'd go give you 3 takes. And I've gotten used to it.
And I was impressed. I mean, you know, what impressed me the most is when I sent you the songs. Of course, when you work with someone new, you're not skeptical, but like, okay, let's give this guy a go. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
What am I expecting? And I remember I gave you, you know, that first song, and you gave me 3 different takes within like the next day or day after. I'm like, damn, this guy works pretty quick. And they were all recorded beautifully. And, you know, most important thing is I wanted, you know, the pocket and great sounding recording. Yeah. And you gave me that, and I was like, all right, this is the dude. This is definitely the dude. I'm like, listen, man, I got a whole album coming up. You're going to be down from this.
So fun fact about that, usually what will happen is if you're somebody new, like the first time you contacted me, I want to try a song. Yeah. I do my best to get it to you as fast as possible. Lickety split, because I want you to have all the information you need very quickly. Right. Yeah. And then after that, once I alleviate your concerns, I'm a legit dude. I'm not going to steal your money. I'm going to give you good parts. Like, once all that's cool, then I'm like, all right, it's going to take a few days per song, because I can't work at that breakneck speed. But it's important. I know what a risk it is to send $200 over the internet to somebody on the other side of the world. It's a big deal. And there are a lot of people out there who would just take that money. So I want to prove to you very quickly that I'm not that guy, that not only can I deliver what you want, but also that I'm going to be easy and chill, and it's going to be fun, because even though we're not in the same room, like, that studio mentality still applies. Like, we should be able to enjoy our time creating together. 100%. So I want to make that very clear on the go.
And that honestly, that, like, I'm just using that as an example of what I liked is very much your professional approach to things. Besides also being professional, is having taste, being a tasteful player. And that's what every recording needs. Because you get recordings where, okay, they're played in time, there's a pocket. But, you know, us in this industry being so long, for me, it's all about the little subtleties, the little feels, the little drags and rushes. And do you know what I mean? It's like the little touches, the little characters that make it. Rather than you playing it perfectly. I mean, okay, that's great to have it perfectly, but can you give me that character? Right. Can you give me that vibe, you know? And I really got that from you. And besides you being such a great, nice guy to deal with as well, that was my priority. And when I heard that, I kind of felt it in you, because for me, it was like, okay, this guy's matured musically.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got that musical maturity, which is very important.
A talent to cultivate as a session player too, and not just on drums, but on any instrument, is to read into the person who's hiring you, to listen to the song they give you, listen to how it sounds, whatever the version is. It could be absolute crap. It could be a polished demo. Listen to that, read into what they're trying to do, and then look at the text that they give you if it's remote. Listen to what they tell you, and you have to kind of infer what they're looking for. I could tell that you were a guy who was interested in feel. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are interested in gridlock drums. And so I have to be able to tell, like, does this person want it gridded 100%? If they do, that's fine. I can give you that. But you have to sort of take a guess at that. And you get better with that over time, of kind of figuring out what the person's really wanting.
Well, I suppose because obviously with what you're saying, with all the sessions you've done in the studio before, that showed you a lot of these things without you even knowing. Right. It's one of those subtleties. And that's what I love about, like, these episodes, is talking about these subtleties, because sometimes you don't think about it. You know, sometimes you're explaining something to someone and you do something already subconsciously and so natural to you that you never thought about it. Yeah. But I don't want to be the guy who'll stop you and make you think about it, you know, like, oh,
totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because those are the little magical moments that make who you are as a musician, or as a producer, or as a mixer, or whatever you want to call it. You know,
you forget what you know.
Yeah.
Even now in this conversation, I'm like, man, I know that. That's cool. I forgot I knew that.
Yeah, but it's good because I mean, this is the whole point, is to share these things. Oh, we got a question for you from Brent. A question for Tom is, as a session guy, do you feel like it's better to be more versatile or be a bit versatile but lean on a particular kind of style that you like your signature?
That is a great question. I think it's the latter. I think you find what you're good at and lean into that. You don't pigeonhole yourself too narrowly that you can't stretch out and do some different things, but don't try to be everything to everyone. I mean, the rule that applies across the board applies directly to music too. If your audience is everyone, your audience is no one. You have to pick a lane. Yeah. And so pick the thing that you're good at and hopefully pick the thing that you enjoy, and those two things overlap. So for me, I'm a good rock drummer. That's my bread and butter. I can play Americana, I can play country, but those things end up with a bit of a rock feel. They're my version of those things. And the little idiosyncrasies in your playing, the little textures that you might not like, are the things that give you character. It's like your voice. Like, you ever listen to your voice played back on a voicemail and you go, God, I sound like that. But that's what makes you you. And the same thing applies to your playing. So the little things I do, like when I do a quick snare fill, my right hand on that fill is not as powerful as my left. It goes for whatever reason. I don't know why I do that. It's something I'm working on, but that is a little idiosyncrasy in my playing that sort of gives me my feel. And so whether it's rock or country or pop, if I do that little quick snare shuffle fill, it's going to have that thing in there no matter what the song feels like, because that's how I do it. And so I think it's important to lean into that.
It's funny you mentioned the whole snare fill, because when you first sent me the recordings, remember I asked you, can you film, do you have it on video to send it to me? Yeah. And there's a couple of things, obviously I wanted for a promo, but before that, when I was hearing you play the toms, I could actually feel you, some people play very low, right? Yeah. But I felt you lifting and bringing it down in a really good way. Yeah. And one of the curiosities when I got your video, I've played with a lot of fantastic drummers. I mean, knock on wood. I'm like, I was blessed with that. And when I felt that, I was like, I want to see if he's actually doing that. And he sent me the video. I'm like, there it is. But that's great. I loved it because, like some people can play high and low, but you don't feel that. And you made me feel that. Yeah, that's cool. There's silence from up here to when you hit the skin, but I felt that silence. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's really cool. Silence between the notes. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's so important. Well, I'm blessed with this super lanky wingspan here. Yeah, I know. I whip the sticks. In fact, oftentimes in live shows, I will hit myself in the back with my sticks. Don't pat yourself on the back too much. Yeah, exactly. Humble there, right? Right. So it's a whipping motion that that's how I play. No, you play. I mean, I love it because you show the feel that you play. I just want to say, hey, Amroth, what's going on? Amroth has been on this every time. Amroth is also another producer, musician, and he's got a couple of really hilarious video takes. If you get a chance, check it out. He's done. Can't remember which songs, but I was like cracking up. I'm like, man, it's just fun. but anyway. But on another note, we'll tie back into the music. By the way, guys, whoever's watching, we're very limited on time. We got another 20 minutes with Tom. So hopefully we'll manage to crunch in a bunch of this stuff in. But if we can't, please do let us know. We'll do another episode or go more into depth. Yeah. What we have with Tom. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I always forget to say that. It's nice. It's nice. So... Oh, I forgot. I lost train of thought, right? I'm not trying to ask you the next question. All right, let's go into this. So, you've worked with numerous bands, and you sent me the playlist, and I've already checked that out before, but I needed to refresh my memory. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff, and now you've released your own works. Guys, if you haven't checked it out, it's I have your links down on your Facebook and YouTube, so just check out the links in the description. And Tom's released a couple of songs which I didn't know you sang and did all of that stuff. Kind of like me when I started doing my project, like, and I
Yeah.
never sang. I'm not a singer by far, man. You know, my
Dude,
friends like I did,
preach. Same.
right? So
Yeah.
there's
It's
these
new territory.
there's a festival, well, a mini festival called the Desert Experiment, and they're friends of mine. They'd always want me to play guitar on different songs, so they go from like 60s, 70s, 80s rock to like metal in the end. And they'd be throwing me into songs I've never heard, and like they'd always ask me to sing Hendrix or Doors or something. Like, yeah, cool. And
Yeah.
I do it for fun, like laughing, like, yeah, look, I'm singing and playing, you know.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you sing? And that time my band kind of disbanded. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do music that I
Yeah.
can sing to, you know.
Yeah.
I pull that cockroach out of my throat. But anyway, sorry. Sorry to go, sorry to go into that. So you kind of went down that road, and guys, check out his song "Upload." It's pretty sick, dude. It's pretty dope. I love what
Thanks,
you've done.
man. Thank you.
You've got that. Uh, you you know, it's like got that modern feel and stuff, but you have that thing going on with the kit, and it just drives it even more. And I wish more like
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to call it electro or. I don't know about genres anymore. I'm like I've given
Dude,
up
me
on
neither.
this whole genre shit. But
I don't know
check
either.
it out. And
Yeah.
then you release When We Were Young, which is such a beautifully melodic arrangement, and I really
Thank you.
enjoyed that. I really enjoyed
Thank
that,
you.
you know. And then you put out the video, like, well done, well done.
Thank
That's
you,
all.
man.
And
Thank you.
you've pulled these songs all the way through yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. From start to finish, only writer, play everything, mix everything, do
Recorded
the
everything.
artwork. Yeah, I came up with the idea for the video. The video was weird because I'm so used to being the drummer,
Yeah,
and on every video shoot I've ever been on, it's like, all right, well, now it's your turn.
yeah.
Play twice and then go sit down and wait. But that day it was all about me. And it
Yeah.
was a very interesting feeling to be the point
Isn't it?
of focus for everybody when I'm so used to being the guy in the background.
And you're trying to not to. No, I completely get that. When the same thing with the videos, my friend was like, "We're gonna produce." Like, you gotta act like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, really? I have to do all of this?" All right, no worries.
So
I was like,
uncomfortable.
"You know, think that way, right?"
Yeah.
Like a few shots of something, let's go for it, you know.
Yeah.
No, but that's well. We just got a couple of other questions. Sorry,
Cool.
I'm trying to cramp in time with you here. So Electric Owl, which is Chaz, he's out in New York. He's like, another question for Tom. Assuming you have a few drum kits and snares to choose from, how to select drum and drum heads tuning for specific songs? And it's funny, I was going to just talk about that with you. Great question.
That's a great question. So kick and toms will depend on sort of a ballpark genre or feel mood for the record. If it's big and swampy, I want big drums. If it's something technical and tight, then I want a tighter, probably 22-inch kit or kick and probably 3 toms. The staple kit that I use that I have in my studio is a 4-piece with a 24-inch kick drum, because most of the stuff I play is more open grooves. And then for snares, it just varies from song to song depending. I start everything with my Ludwig Black Beauty. That's my snare drum of choice.
Tom, I think we lost you there. I can't hear you.
Oh, really? Hello.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay.
Sorry, it's that last part.
Sorry. I literally didn't touch anything.
And it's done that with me last time. I don't know if you were live and maybe I couldn't hear you. I just didn't want to.
I don't know. That's all good. So for snares, my workhorse is a 6.5 by 14 Ludwig Black Beauty snare drum. And so that's my go-to kind of base level. And then if it needs something different, I've got some shallower options and some deeper options. The deeper ones usually are for slower songs that have more breath. And then the shallower ones are for songs that have more intricacy and technicality on the snare drum itself. And for heads, I will go with a thinner head on a song that is less rock. But if it's more of a rock heavy hitting song, I will go with a 2-ply head, usually Emperors on the toms, and then a coated control sound reverse dot on the snare drum.
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, usually my setup is double ply on everything.
Coated ambassadors on your snare, maybe? Is that what you use? Did you say coated ambassadors on the snare or emperors?
I'll do it's a coded control sound X that Remo makes, and it's got a black dot underneath it.
Right.
So that I really like that head. Another thing that I think is important to take into account is how do the drums and the heads respond to the room.
Yeah.
If the room is super live, then deadening that snare might be a little more helpful. But if the room is super dead, then letting that snare breathe and ring out more is going to be better because it's going to die out more quickly in the room itself. Right. So those are things to take into account too. Fortunately, working out of the same room 99% of the time, I know how my room sounds. I know what responds well in there from trial and error. So
is your room big enough to have room mics in it, or you just?
Yeah. So I've got a pair of room mics all the way at the end. Well, 2/3 of the way. And they're
stereo,
I like
mono.
Yes, they're stereo, but they're close pattern so that the
what are you using there
face
for the rooms?
Oh, God.
Are they ribbons, dinos, or diaphragm?
They are small diaphragm condensers.
Okay, cool. So are you managing to catch the low end from the picture, triangle picture of the kick and snare, or is it just more of the high mids and low mids to top mids on the room?
In the room, I do get some low end, but the best low end happens around probably 200. And then I get everything all the way up from there.
Okay, so generally the 100 below and 60.
Yeah, I generally try to carve that out of my rooms anyway, because all it does is, in my experience, it just adds mud, and I like to get that sub from the kick drum and the bass, and leave plenty of room for that in there. But when I'm sending files, I don't carve too much. I think the argument could be made that the files I send are maybe even lean a little too flat. But the reason I do that is because if I start pulling out high end or pulling out low end, it's a lot harder to add those things back in.
Yeah.
And so I want to give a mix engineer the opportunity to craft their drum sound off of what I give them. I want them to have that creativity, that option. I don't want to make those decisions for you. I try to give you a drum sound that can be molded. Everything's really well recorded and everything's very clean, and you have a full spectrum of option in it.
Right.
But I don't want to make those choices for you. I want you to be able to do that.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's what I remember what I got from you as well. That's completely the right way to do it, I suppose. Unless someone's asking you intentionally, like, look, I want this, you know. Like I love the whole thing of having the room mics or a mono room mic where I can crush the crap out of the drums with the kick in there, or put that, that dick miking technique you've heard of, right?
I call it the shotgun mic.
I like the whole dick mic.
Dick mic is better though. I think I might use that.
It's hilarious, and you just crush it with a compressor, and it's great.
Yeah.
It captures overall.
I love having either a mono room or that dick mic. Both of those are great options to just like you said, just squeeze the absolute crap out of it.
It's so much life to the overall picture.
Yeah.
What are you using for overheads?
SM81s.
Oh, okay. I got a pair of those as well. I got a pair of Cold 4038s just for overheads. I haven't used them yet. I got a kit coming in. I got Anyway,
can you track drums in your room?
Dude, my room, I just brought a snare in yesterday and just hitting it. It just sounds great. Because honestly, my rig is built to, I don't know, to record everything, and like I've recorded vocals in here. It sounds great. For drums, it's just right. It's really balanced in here. And I know a kick would sound great. I haven't brought a full kit here. It's not big enough, but it's big enough for a corner to track like a 4-piece kit with some with mics, obviously, maybe a Glenn Johns technique or something, and that's it. I haven't tried it. My neighbor's probably going to kill me, but I don't think so. I might just have a chat with them.
I'd worry about the one downstairs with that kick drum.
Exactly.
The only one.
and I was talking to my wife today. I'm like, I need to send him a letter. Hi, is there, blah, blah, blah. How do I send that letter where they say, yes, no problem, you can do it from this time to this time,
What can I do for you?
Quarantine times.
Right.
I'm like, last night I was thinking, like, I hope the guy likes music and he's a musician or some shit like that, because that would make my life a lot easier.
Yeah. But you can tell them like, hey, it's quarantine. I'm having to think outside of the box, and this is what I want to do. And then
Yeah.
when quarantine's over, you just don't stop doing it.
Yeah. That's good. Oh, we got a couple more questions here. Okay, there's another one
Cool.
from Brent. Question: how challenging was it to break into the Nashville session scene?
Another great question. I wouldn't consider myself having completely broken into it yet.
Right.
There are friends of mine who play on sessions for union scale on Music Row every day. And
Right.
I'm not in that scene yet. I haven't gotten to that upper echelon. The way that I managed to do it for me was I sort of sidestepped everybody a little bit.
Okay.
I realized that Nashville is overrun with people who play music. There
Yeah.
are so many people here who play music and so many people who are good at music. And most of the people I know on the road would kill to be session players. So I knew that it was a lot of competition fighting over this one thing. And I thought to myself, well, why sit here and fight with everybody else over this one plant when there's a whole garden out there of people who are making music?
Right.
I know that I'm good at communicating. I know I have the business skills, the technical skills to like set up a website and that kind of thing. Not
Right.
all these guys have that. So I'm going to focus on everywhere but Nashville, and then I'll circle back. And so the way I've built my session career by working with people outside of Nashville.
Right.
And then I've used that experience and that success of as an example, like, hey, look how many things I've done for people in town. And then my relationships in town, I would say the best way I've broken into it in town is just through my friendships and time.
Right.
Like the same way I'm going to recommend you or you're going to recommend me because we know each other. And then you
Right.
meet somebody else and that happens. And then you recommend me somebody else and that person recommends me somebody else. And like it just spider
Network.
webs out. So it
Yeah.
just takes time. It's just building your friendships and your community, just like anywhere else. Nashville just happens to be a denser market for it.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to go into the question of how did you get to Nashville, but because we're running out of time here, I got a couple of more
Mhm.
questions. I want to answer
Yeah,
these. And guys, by the way, we got 8 minutes left. We're going to answer a couple more questions, but please do let us know. We'd love to do a second episode with Tom. If you guys want it, let us know. Ananya Kumar. Oh, Ananya is another drummer here, I know. And he's like,
cool.
hi, Tom. How much time are you able to allocate to your own solo project? And how tough has it been to break through this vast universe of YouTube channels? Interesting.
Oh,
Very interesting. Nice
yeah,
question.
that is a great question.
Yeah.
So being being a solo artist and trying to build a YouTube channel or an Instagram following, whatever, is similar in many ways to just being a musician, but it is so much different at the same time. I have such a profound level of respect further beyond what I did before for people who are independent musicians who are putting in the time every day and every week to make videos and make content to upload. Like it is a
Hard.
full-time job.
It's
It's very
hard.
hard.
Yeah.
Um, for my solo stuff, my goal is to release 4 songs this year. I've released one. I want to put out one a quarter, and I try to work on my own music at least an hour a week right now.
Mm.
What will end up happening is it kind of does this exponential thing where I'll start out and work on it, work on it, work on it. And as I get towards the end, I'll track vocals and I'll mix and I'll do all of that and master all within the span of probably about a week to 10 days. And then I'll
Right.
push it out for release.
Right.
And so I do that each cycle. And then I try to do a YouTube video every week. I'm trying to post at least once or twice a week to Instagram. It's just one of the ways I do that is I write a lot down. I write a ton of stuff down. My notepad is full of ideas and plans. My reminders app on my phone is full of things I need to do. Every
Right.
night before I go to bed, I write down all the things I have to get done tomorrow. Because I know I'll forget, and B, I will get overwhelmed and fatigued with decisions if I don't write it down. So that's the way I keep my mind fresh and able to do all the stuff is I get it out of my head as soon as it's in there and onto paper, which is a huge help for me.
Organization is key, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Oh my God.
that's a
So
whole
good.
discipline with it because I can't stand this whole like. It's not I can't stand. You have like you're forced to do this whole social media thing because you need to do it.
Yeah.
Like some people asked me to do other. When I did this studio tour, they wanted like, how do you record guitars? How do you do this and that? I'm like, dude, like it's so much time just to do that. I'm like, I have more. I need to focus more on mixing and making records and doing it all, and it's very tiring. And then I said to myself, you know what? There's plenty of videos out there of how people record stuff. What do you want to hear from me? Who cares? Why don't you learn it from the greatest of the great? Andrew Sheps and all these guys.
Right.
That's why I thought I'd do this. I'm like, no, I want this more personal touch. Sorry, I'm gonna jump to the next question. Electric Owl says, I've used an Audio Technica AT4050 large diaphragm as a dick mic, and it was instant Charlie Watt Stones feel. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. The 4050 is pretty. I've never used it. I have an old Canadian valve tube big large diaphragm which I've used, and it's great. It crunches because it doesn't have to really sound good. Just crunch the crap out of it. And it's good.
Yeah.
There's another question. The technique worked well on a Sonar Bop Jazz kit. Yes, another session with Tom would be awesome. Sweet. Brent, second session, please. Fucking fantastic. Dude, we got a lot to cover, man, because
we're gonna do part 2 and 3.
No, because you represent a lot for our community who are independent musicians.
Yeah.
Or got their own studio going on, write their own stuff, how to put it out, how to market it, how to and you got a lot of these grounds covered, and people are hungry for that, to understand. Like now you put out the subject about organization, and that's a big topic within itself. Everybody has their own way, but we can talk about that. I mean, I haven't even gone deep into what you've done yet,
Yeah.
What the hell, dude?
I know, I'm sorry. I feel bad. I will say, well, like one of the big overarching things I think that helps to guide me is setting a plan of like, what is it that I really want? Like, what do I really want?
Yeah.
Do you want $1 million? Why? Why do you want $1 million? Because you think it will solve your problems? Well, probably not. $1 million probably isn't what you want. What you really want is your time. For me, what I really want is to just be in charge of my time. And I just want to make art that I love and that I'm proud of, that I can show to you and say, look at this thing I made. And you go, man, I really liked when you were young. It was great. I go, cool. That's success for me. Yeah. And I'm super passionate about the independent music community, because I think that this idea that has been manufactured since the 50s of you're either a star or you're nobody and you're waiting tables is crap. There is such a thing as somebody who makes a good living as an independent musician that never signs a record deal, that nobody knows about. Like, that's what I'm trying to do, is put out songs I like and make YouTube videos about them. And if I can feed my kids that way, then I am on top of the world.
You're golden, dude. That's
right.
That is completely the right attitude, and that's what's going to get you successful, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, what is success? What is that measured? You already
right. Exactly.
To me, you're complete success. Just because you're not on the charts or name, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
People use your ears. Use your ears. Everybody's very visually focused on who's the most popular. We like him because everybody know.
Yeah.
That's gone. It's funny. There was an Instagram post my wife was showing me with Beyonce. Talking, funny enough, Beyonce is an incredible artist, right?
Yeah.
And she's talking like, what's up with people these days? They're following these artists because their personal lives are really nice, and they got great videos, but nobody's listening anymore. Back in the day when Nina Simone used to sing, people used to sit and listen.
Yeah.
That's how I got into it, and that's real art, in some ways. And with the whole ADD thing, people 15 seconds, it's a shame. But new times, new music, new ways of moving. But this is where people like you and I and the guys watching, where we can actually pave that way back again. Because I think this era of what's happening with the short-lived stuff is going to be short-lived, whether you like it or not. Why is Led Zeppelin still being played on the radio? Example. Why aren't the new stuff being played on the radio? Think about it for a sec.
Right.
Great songs, but there's a lot of great songs now. But that was marketed well. It's a different era. And we need to also touch base on the next episode when you did the whole interview with Submit Hub and the whole playlist push.
Totally.
That is so important. Guys, we need, seriously, whoever's been watching, Let us know in the comments on Bullfunk Studios Facebook what you guys want to hear about more from Tom.
Yeah, that would
And
be awesome.
yeah, there's a lot of, and he's got a video on that, which I will post. Whoever throws out the first question, whoever wants to hear that on Bullfunk Studios, let me know on there, and I'll send you a link of Tom's video talking about playlist push and submit hub and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, what you said was brilliant, and your success is based on the love for music and the love for people to hear your stuff. It's not about the $1 million. It's what you're doing. What's good. That was great. I know it's 9:50 right now. I know you gotta go. I'm trying to wrap this up in a really nice way.
Dude, I appreciate you having me on here. Thank you for thinking enough to me to invite me on, dude. I'm very, very grateful to spend the time.
Same here, man. Same here. And I'm gonna say bye. Oh, wait, hang on a second. Last one question. Wow, 100% agree, Tom. I want my time to do my own creative stuff.
Absolutely. That's the goal.
Definitely.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
guys. Thank you very much for watching and being part of this live chat. We're going to do another episode with Tom, maybe another 2 or 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
And Tom, thank you very much. Say hello to the family for me. And good luck. And we'll stay in touch, and we'll set up the next episode.
Perfect.
All right.
Thanks, dude.
All right, dude.
All right, man.